begin with a roll call.
Commissioner Cotton,
Here.
Commissioner Fluno,
Here.
Commissioner Heidner,
Here.
Commissioner Leese,
Here.
Commissioner Nevitt,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
and Chairman Morris.
Here. Okay, first thing is any general public comments, and I don't see anyone rushing to do that, so we will start with our items for review. The first is a public hearing for case number 2020-408, a petition filed by Brad, I'm going to apologize up front. Of course, Kaluzna, doing business as Moto Escape Contract Lessee, requesting approval of a special use permit to operate a private automotive storage club in the BP district at 645 to 647 Lakeview Parkway, which is zoned BP Business Park District. Who's going to speak with respect to this? Okay. You want to come forward? Okay. Is that anyone else, or is that just for moral support?
He can come up. You want to speak?
Okay, so we ask you to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
Yes.
Okay, if you introduce yourself first for the record, then you are on.
Sure. I'm Brad Kaluzna. Nice to meet everybody.
Okay. What do you want to tell us?
So we are looking to put a private car club in. Think about it as a storage of private car clubs. You'll have luxury cars, you'll have antique cars, you'll have places that have HOAs that don't allow cars to be on the driveway, and we've realized that it's a very big need in the area. We have a club opened up in the Atlanta area, and it is full, completely at capacity. We've actually done research here. I live in Long Grove, John lives in the Vernon Hills area, and there's only one in this area that does car storage, and it's a need. We've gone through about 9 different car dealerships, and they've said they get asked on a daily basis, where can I store my car in the winter? Because they don't want to store their cars outside under tarps or under other areas, and most people now put them into like store places or storage places that is not temperature controlled, which can cause damage to the cars. So our model is they can bring their daily drivers in, they can put take their cars out on the weekends. Typically, we're going to see most of the traffic Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You'll probably have no more than 3 to 5 members coming in at a time based on our other property in Atlanta. Dual authentication, so the members can come in and out. There's camera security everywhere on every single car as well. There's no work being done on the cars. That's pretty much the model.
Okay. Any questions, anyone?
So they cannot do oil changes on the
No.
vehicles in this facility?
There's absolutely zero work. This is to store your car. You can come swap your car, but there's no work being done in the facility at all.
On the website for the Atlanta one, it shows a workshop.
They do. We have a work area in that one. That's not going to be our model here.
Okay. Are they individual, like, units, or is it one big storage and they have like a striped space?
You got it, the second model.
Okay. And it's 24 hours?
24-hour access, yep. We love the location as it's right near the police station. But we will have, like I said, dual authentication security. So they'll have to swipe a key fob. They'll have cameras on their faces. So we'll know, the second somebody comes in, we'll know who leaves. We'll have cameras on every single car in the facility. So we know if there is a damage, they're signing an agreement that they're actually going to be responsible for any other owner's cars that they potentially could have hit, dinged, whatever the case may be. But usually these are people that they care about their cars so much that they're very careful. We never have any of those issues in the Atlanta location.
Can they bring multiple people in?
If they're driving with like 1 or 2 other people, they can bring them in just to switch their car, but not if they're not members of the car club now.
Okay, so the gathering room, that's for members only?
Gathering room is for members only, yes.
And that's open 24 hours?
That is open 24 hours a day as well.
Okay.
And think about it as couches, TVs, more of just a gathering space. We're thinking of inviting like the Porsche Club or the different car clubs as a meeting space because they don't have meeting spaces, so allow them to start their drives at our place and then they can go from there. More of like a coffee to kick off the Sunday morning drive.
Okay, but a member could actually go there and bring 5 of his friends to have a beer?
Everything is under camera. We'll have cameras all in that area as well, and they're going to be signing agreements that they would be kicked out of the club if they did that.
How about like car shows?
We don't plan on having any car shows at our facility. We wouldn't have the room to do anything like that. We're not trying to let the public in. In fact, we don't even want any signage on the building.
Okay. Sorry, I have
No,
one
go
more
ahead.
question.
Go on.
I think my biggest concern with this is the location of your exit with respect to the entrance to the gymnastics area. What measures are you taking to make sure that the people coming out in their fancy quick cars aren't going to hit a kid that's, running to go to gymnastics? Because the location of the door is right at that corner.
Yeah, it's a very fair question. My daughter actually goes to Vernon Hills Gymnastics and has spent time at that gymnastics place. What you'll notice in Vernon Hills Gymnastics, if you're in a car and you're waiting to pick up a student from that area, is the kids do run out, right? And they're going, but that's all blocked. You can't go fast around a corner in that area because you're sitting and you're stuck in traffic. In addition, the majority of ours are going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're eliminating 5 nights during the week when Vernon Hills has classes.
Okay. Is it some type of controlled corner? Like, is there, it's probably not a
I
regulated
believe there's a
but
stop
is there-
sign
Okay.
in there, but I'll tell you, like, everybody blocks it. So that's actually one of the concerns that we have with our landlord is, how do we make sure our members aren't going to be blocked by traffic? Because they don't look at that as a real intersection. They're looking at it as there's nobody coming, I can just sit and wait for my child.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you're not sworn in.
you got to be sworn in and come up front. Sorry. Okay. Want to identify yourself first?
Jonathan Knack.
Okay. We ask you raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
Yes.
Okay, and the rule, which we didn't state before, is you need to speak for one of the microphones.
Oh, got it, sorry.
You're good.
All right, so I was just there last night driving my 15-year-old son I wanted to show him the warehouse space that we were considering. And the gymnastics line of cars was all waiting. And the way that the parking lot is set up is you come in this way. This is where you exit Vernon Hills Gymnastics, and the corner is past it and to the left.
Can you
There's a-
maybe,
Yeah.
obviously one of us knows, because they must have something in gymnastics. The rest, at least 2 of us, have no clue where the entry and the exit you're talking
It's
about
top
is.
right corner.
Why don't you use the cursor and show us?
The mouse.
The mouse, I'm sorry.
Ah, perfect. So it would be right there, is what we're talking about.
That's the entry to your building?
No, the entrance to our building would be here, so people would be driving out here, right? And then here's where the line of cars sits, this whole area, to pick up the kids. They actually go all the way back into this area. There's a line of cars always waiting for the kids to pick them up.
Which is what I was going to say, that I couldn't even turn left to get into there because all of the cars were kind of in the way, waiting to pick up their kids. So if anything, and maybe we could put in some lines, like do not block this area or something, that would be good for both our facility, but as well as then blocking off kind of the area where there would be some potential through traffic at the same time.
I have a question, please. Tell me again, you said the hours, it's going to be 24 hours?
Yep, 24 hours a day.
Why 24 hours?
If a member wants to have access to their car and they want to switch their car out, it's the model that we put in Atlanta. And, we very rarely get people past 8 or 9 at night. The occasional person will be back from a late work trip and they either took their car to the airport and they want to swap their car out so they're ready for the next day. But 99% of the people are done by 8 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, that's why 24 hours is kind of, I think, not needed, but what kind of lighting are you going to have in the parking lot?
In the parking
Like
lot,
for
inside.
for security?
Outside the building, there's already adequate street lights that are lining the outside of our building. I can show, I believe there's lights. There's lights already on the building here. So this is a shared warehouse between Loomcraft, Vernon Hills Gymnastics, like this side of it. And there's lighting, I believe, that's already here. And then there's a lot of lighting already here as well. So this whole area is very well lit.
Does that lighting go off at any time?
So I was there at 10:30 night and it was on. So I don't know.
Because if it's, I mean, I would like to just be sure that if you're going to be open 24 hours, there's going to be 24-hour lighting.
Great question. We can validate that.
Thank you.
This is a silly question, but you mentioned you took your 15-year-old son. I can see one of your members taking their 15 and 12 and 6-year-old children to view the classic cars and, the fancy cars. Is that allowed?
Yeah, if a member wants to bring their child in, and that's all in our agreement, but there's no touching of a car. If somebody puts their hand, opens a car door, they're out. And these members respect other people's possessions because they don't want anybody touching their automobile either.
When someone comes with their current vehicle, are they going in and basically swapping
Yeah.
stalls out?
Yeah, they're swapping their day driver out for maybe their weekend car. So what they'll do, in the warehouse, there's gonna be drive lanes, so they'll basically stop, they'll pull their car out, they'll pull their other car in, and then they're out for however long.
I was
they want.
wondering how you do that.
Yeah, so there's drive lanes in there. We wish there was a better way to do it, because you try to maximize and monetize the majority of the space, but you have to have, I think there's 10 feet of drive lane in each lane. So we're actually gonna have 5 drive lanes horizontally across that whole area.
And switching gears, I have an image of, it looks like a front entrance to the building?
Yes.
Where is that located on here?
So this entrance is right off of Lakeview Parkway. The landscaping, we've already talked to the landlord about cleaning it up. So members will have 2 options. They can come in the front door. If they were coming to park their car and they didn't want to swap their car, they just said, hey, I'm gonna leave it, I'm gonna be taking a couple-hour drive, I didn't wanna swap it. There's adequate parking in the front. Typically, that's not what we see in our Atlanta location, but they also could enter the room area where there's gonna be a couch and a TV in that space as well. That'd be the front area. We think 95% of the members are gonna come through the back. We don't believe the front area is gonna be that utilized to enter.
From a curb appeal standpoint, you're going to be making changes to the landscape, or?
We've already told the landlord, and they've already committed to us that it would be cleaned up prior to us signing a lease, and they are actually taking care of landscaping.
Okay. And in that photo, if you want to bring the photo back up, just to the right of the entry walk, it looks like there's some sort of exit pipe or drainage pipe coming out of the bed. Is that coming off the roof, or
I do not know.
just concerned about something causing an icing situation in the winter?
Yeah, thank you.
So I know prior to us looking at this location, they had, I believe Amcor was in there, and they were storing medical grade equipment in there, so it's very clean inside there, and it's completely temperature controlled as well. So much so that they've rarely had to run heating and air conditioning.
I would just double check to make sure that's not something draining out onto
Yeah.
the walk, or?
It looks like a roof drain.
It looks like, if you look at the original photo, you see the bollard, the light in the corner over here?
Yep.
It looks like it's another one of those that's fallen down.
Falling down, so that'll be repaired then?
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
How many members or how many vehicles do you anticipate?
We anticipate that we could potentially store up to 150 vehicles
Okay.
in the location. And you could have 100 to 150 members. You will have members that will have multiple cars, I'm assuming.
How many guests are allowed in at once?
Usually in the Atlanta space, we allow 2. So if you're bringing a family, or if you're bringing 2 kids and significant other, we'll allow that as well. But non-family members are not allowed. This isn't, let me go bring my buddies and go look at a bunch of cars.
Okay, but you said they could bring it if they have a friend in they drove in with.
Yeah, if they were coming in and out and they were just swapping their car, yeah, but they wouldn't be allowed in the club area.
Okay.
You mentioned that there's security cameras and there's a limit on visitors and that sort of thing, but who's policing those?
We have an app that will police that for us, and then every time they come in and they drive in, we'll see the picture. There's gonna be cameras that will be on every single car.
So it counts the number of
No,
people in the
but
group? or-
we're also deploying the honor system with them, and if they wanna stay members, they're gonna follow the rules, and we haven't had challenges with that in the other location. Everybody is very respectful of this type of an environment, because it needs high security. We love that it's near a police station, and people don't want other people messing with their car, so they're not gonna bring in people if they thought other people would do that as well. So we've had no issues with that in the Atlanta location.
Could you go from this picture to the next one and show me where this is on the next picture?
So that would be right here.
There?
So the space we're talking about basically is draw a line pretty much here, straight up there, and we would actually have 2 of the warehouse, or loading docks as well.
And where do the cars come in?
Cars come in right here.
Over there. Okay.
And so do you have monthly and annual membership, or how does the membership model?
Only annual. We won't be doing a monthly or even a 6-month. Everything's going to be on an annual basis.
One question, you're not doing any build-out or tenant improvements in the space generally, other than striping and like some just general finishes?
In the warehouse, no. In the office space, we will have to rip carpet out. There's office cubicles in there that will have to be removed. We will be putting flooring down and just then kind of painting and other things like that, but nothing, no major constructions, no demolition of walls, more just surface level improvements.
So permitting from a hazard load of fuel, I take it that's,
Yeah, it's the amount of fuel stored in the building, in each vehicle, and then the drainage concern. So
Yeah.
that was the staff recommendation on this.
Okay.
Just make sure that they understand. We of course would take them through those, but I just wanted to be upfront
Okay.
that that's coming your way.
yeah, and you don't have 360 access to the building?
You do not have 360. You get pretty close. They would use the street if they absolutely
Yeah,
needed
okay.
to.
Do you have any rules regarding what, do you call them customer or client, one of your clients can store in their vehicle?
No hazardous materials. We won't even allow them to keep their, like if they had a convertible, we don't allow them to store their hardtops. So the no tires, no nothing. Like, this is specifically for the car, and we would expect that they wouldn't be, you know, we went to visit a car club in Western Springs or down in the southwest suburbs, and they were allowing hardtop roofs, they were allowing tires, like winter tires or changeouts, and you just saw how messy and dirty the place got. So there's none of that that's allowed here, and we don't allow that in the Atlanta Club either.
Do you have a slide of this,
What was that?
your floor plan? Do you have a slide of that?
If you keep scrolling through, you'll get to it eventually.
Was,
If you scroll through, you will get to that eventually.
Oh,
There we go.
Okay. So the green kind of squarish, that's the office and the so-called clubhouse?
yes.
Okay. The back is, I think you said there were 5 drive aisles? There look like a whole lot more than 5 now.
This is, we actually are gonna be, this is all empty space. This is what Amcor had in there today. This is how they stored their medical equipment.
Okay.
And they had forklifts that were driving up and
Okay.
down these.
That's
drive-
rack storage.
This is not, yeah, this is not wide enough for,
Okay. How large are the spaces that you're providing?
what did he say, 10, right about 10 feet, I believe, 10 and a half feet?
12 or
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
10 by 12?
12. No, I'm sorry. We're 20 feet deep, 21 feet deep, and I believe we're 10 feet wide is the spaces. And for SUVs, we'll go larger.
Is that wide enough?
That's what we have in the Atlanta.
And that works?
I mean, think about, like, I have a Navigator and I'm 20, just over 20 feet.
Yeah.
And it works great because we're not allowing them to store anything in the back.
Well, that's not what I'm really asking about. I store my car, and I have a 2-door car. It's a Ferrari, and because of that, it has a huge door swing. So is this a wide enough space to effectively do it?
Yeah, I mean,
And
we've
have it-
measured it out and we can send pictures of our Atlanta location as well and we have no issues there. And I can get you the exact dimension of the space just because we're gonna be doing different spaces. Like we think there's the ability to store motorcycles or smaller vehicles in the front area and then bigger areas in the back and the corner areas.
With a 10-foot drive aisle, I also know from experience, the kind of cars you're talking about, maybe not American muscle cars, but others, they don't back up very easily. Is a 10-foot drive aisle usable?
That's the model we have in the other place and we don't have any complaints about it.
Okay. What are you doing with power to each location to do battery tenders?
Yeah, for the trickle chargers. So there's already electricity there, so we're gonna be having electricity available for every space.
And you have sufficient, I'm not an electrical person, but they have sufficient electrical load to do that?
Each one is not a huge load.
150
It's
of them?
certainly something that they could work out. It's possible that there's a load available at this building that would accommodate that.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my
Okay.
head.
Where is this entry wash bay you're talking about?
So that would be right here. We're not decided on Well, this is where people would come in. So the
Right.
concept is they come in here.
Right.
And what they're gonna do is we're gonna have big signs, there's no water allowed. So people will stop and they will dry off their cars because we don't want water coming through the entire facility.
Okay.
So we know we need drainage, right? And so the
Right.
drainage is gonna need to be in this area right here.
Okay, then what's to the right of that area, that other kind of square?
This right here, these
Yeah.
are loading docks, truck loading docks.
Are you utilizing that for anything?
Right now, no. Well, and we're thinking if we had RVs or people wanted to store larger vehicles in there, we potentially could have a few in there.
It was built for semi.
Yeah, it's built for semis loading
so
and
it's
loading
like,
back in.
yeah, very
So we
tall,
have two
wide.
of the four, I believe, right, our dividing lines right here.
Okay,
But it's not temperature controlled, so that's a challenge for us. Kind of wasted space.
okay. And you're constrained to, the number of spaces constrains you with the number of people you can have here?
Correct.
Okay, what is your projected cost on all this, in terms of what someone's gonna pay?
So we're in the middle of that. I don't know that we were prepared to share that with
Okay.
the group.
Okay,
If you're looking to start the Ferrari, though, we can definitely have a conversation about that.
I only started 6 months of the year. Okay, anybody else have any other questions?
In the green area, it says 2 executive offices.
Yes.
You're not having staff there. What do you need 2 offices?
So we're probably going to be working out of
You
that
are.
location, yeah. Get out of our home offices.
Okay, and I'm assuming that if a member, in this area, there will be restrooms and things like that as well.
There are restrooms here,
Oh, I can't see.
right here, and then there are 2 restrooms here as well,
Okay.
all needing improvement. 1980-ish restaurants, or restrooms.
All right, anybody else?
So you're not taking all this available, what it says is available, you're just taking most of it.
No, so the way the lease is written is we have the available space, and then we have the green highlighted space.
And you said half the dock.
That's it, yeah, they marked that, actually here, sorry, they're keeping 1 in here, and I think there's 3 total, so they're giving us 2 of the 3.
Oh, it just looks like,
Yeah,
I saw
it's-
those little
Yeah, I
squares
thought
at the
there was
bottom, so
4,
I thought it
there's
was
3.
4 there.
There's 2 of the 3 right here.
Okay.
Each
And
of
then you
those
can see the
little
right
squares
here.
are doors, I think.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, anybody else?
Does the village have any requirements on that parking aisle I'm sorry, the parking aisle itself?
Inside the building?
Yeah, 10 feet does sound pretty thin.
Not that I know of. I have not seen anything that would apply to it. It's not public, so if it were a public garage, yes, but as a club, nothing that I can think of.
Okay.
The fire department may have, given the hazard, the fire department may need them to increase it slightly, but that's sort of to be determined based on their review.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I note that public notice was provided and we received no comments.
Correct.
Is that right? We also have within our packets the section 18.3, standards for special use comments, which are made part of the record. This is a public hearing, and therefore we need to open this up to anyone in the public that wishes to speak with respect to this request, either positively or negatively. Okay, no one rushing to the podium. We can close the public comment portion of the meeting. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're all set.
Okay, are you familiar with the staff review and recommendations in terms of additional conditions of approval?
Andrew gave us a little bit overview, but
Okay. Generally, our one, the petitioner would work with the landlord to trim trees, remove landscape beds adjacent to the building. I'm sorry, not remove, restore landscape beds. Secondly, vehicle storage within the building shall be subject to any additional requirements of Lake County Public Works and the Countryside Fire Protection District. Thirdly, petitioner shall work with the landlord to improve warning signage for vehicles exiting the rear dock area, which I guess is that point of contact or conflict that we were talking about.
We had a fourth suggestion regarding lighting,
right.
to ensure that there's adequate lighting when members have access.
we need to confirm that those lights are on. Maybe they go out, maybe they're on a timer, we have to check.
Yeah, there's wall packs on the north side of the building, and then the parking lot lights on the south side of the building. So they may be on, one may be on all the time, like the rear lights may be on all the time, and the front may go off. So you just need to sort that out with the landlord.
Yep.
Okay. And the fire protection district and the village, I suppose, even though it doesn't say it in number 2, are going to look at the access where the 10 feet is sufficient for safety, et cetera?
They will look at everything. I've talked to the fire protection district about it. They had no major concerns. They have not reviewed a plan for a permit
Right.
yet, but they didn't have any significant issues.
Okay. So any other
Uh,
comments?
On condition 1, does that have to be approved by anybody, as far as the landscaping?
Well, this was just basically restoration. There's weeds that are sort of grown into the bed there. So the idea was just remove the weeds, restore what was originally planted there, and trim the trees. It shows some signs of neglect.
Maintenance, basically.
Maintenance, yeah.
But if they don't do, they won't get a certificate of occupancy to use it, right?
This would be based, we would work with them, depending on the time of year. We
Yeah.
would issue a CO anytime a new occupant goes into a space like this.
Okay. Is this subject to a PUD for the business park? That's
Yeah, there are regulations for the PUD, nothing that
That are
conflicts with
impacted?
what they're doing.
Okay, all right. All right.
If this is approved today, or recommended for approval, can they, in 6 months, start doing car repairs without coming back here?
No, not if they have something on the record where the entire testimony establishes the operating procedure. So if they've said under oath that they're not going to do that, they would have to come back if we viewed it as a significant change from the plan or the testimony.
Okay, thanks.
Why don't we make an additional 5th condition that it's subject to testimony regarding the character of the use, which includes no car repairs? That makes sense? All right, with that,
Or part storage.
that one I candidly don't understand, the part storage. So you can't in the summer take your car out and take the T-top off and leave it in your space?
We don't allow it.
Okay,
It's not, the problem that, and we used to allow it in the Atlanta location, people just leave them there, leave them on the floors, and we're worried about property getting damaged. So we don't leave anything in the spaces. The spaces are completely clean.
okay. All right, that's your business model, sure, okay. Anybody else? If not, at this commission, we have a standing motion to recommend approval, and that motion would be to make findings of fact and recommend approval of special use for a private automobile storage club located at 647 Lakeview Parkway, Vernon Hills, as required by Section 16.3, Article 18, and Section 21.6. For Moto Escape North Shore, the business model and the narrative as provided to the village. It says proposed floor plan, but it's really not a full floor plan because it doesn't have the drive aisles, et cetera, which will have to be submitted. Subject to the conditions that are within our package and provided to you, including the additions of condition 4 to ensure adequate lighting for nighttime access and use. 5, that is, the character of the use is subject to and consistent with the testimony given today, including no repairs, and under number 2 and 1, both would be also subject to village review. And with that, we need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we need a vote.
Commissioner Navitt,
Aye.
Commissioner
Yes.
Cotton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fluno,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidner,
Yes?
Commissioner Lees,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Morris.
Yes. Okay, so this will go to the village board.
It will go on September 3rd.
Okay.
With items that are fully, primarily interior. We're sometimes able to do that in one meeting rather than have the discussion and the vote in separate meetings. So we'll be in touch with you regarding how we're putting that on the agenda. But do plan to be available on September 3rd.
And we can probably put a floor plan together. We have an issue getting square footage of everything right now, so we need to get in there and measure everything. We've been in there multiple times, but it's the details. This is the best we were provided.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else? Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thanks.
Okay. Next, we have, where did I put it? Public hearing on case 2024-09, a petition filed by Matthew Gopin? Gopin.
First time you got it right.
Okay, Gopin, doing business as Roots Dance Studio, a contract lessee requesting a special use permit for a children's performing arts center at 656 to 660 Hawthorne Center, Vernon Hills, which is currently zoned B1 and is part of the Hawthorne Mall. Who's going to speak on behalf of the petitioner for this one?
I'll let you know. Okay.
All right. All right, you want to tell us who you are?
Yeah, Matthew Gopin of Bannockburn, Illinois.
Okay, we ask you to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before this commission of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
I do.
Okay,
Very
and
well.
with that, you are on.
Yeah, so we're looking to open a children's performing arts center. So it's just called Roots, not Roots Dance Studio, but we run a large dance program and theater. That's about 90% of our business, like 60 and 30. And then the other 10%'s sort of a bunch of miscellaneous type fitness classes, yoga, you name it. We have a location in Deerfield. We've been there 2 years now. We were in Northbrook 5 years before, for the 5 years preceding that. I think we've got, it's probably like 1,600, I forget the exact number of the kids, but 16 to 1,800 kids that come through there in a given week. So we're hoping to replicate a very similar model here. This space will be a little smaller, we'll have less rooms, so it'll probably be 10, 15% less total participants, just due to the space limitations. But the idea is to replicate the business model just in Vernon Hills.
Okay. Any questions, anyone? Let me ask something. In the August 9th, 2024 letter to the Village of Vernon Hills, you indicated the proposed or the projected age distribution of the children. A full 45% are less than 4 years old, and another 48 are less than 10.
Correct.
Which are generally not children that, especially in a regional mall with a large parking field outside, what is your security protocol in terms of pickup and drop off and, getting parents to get kids, or is it just open the door and go find your parents?
Yeah, just run as fast as you can into the parking lot.
Okay.
No, the little kids are almost always with their parents. So it's they're typically like, we call them parent-child classes. So typically under 3, they're with parent. 3 to 5, the parents typically wait in the room, in the building, or in this case, they may go into the mall and come back before the class is over. But we will not dismiss a child unless a parent is there that we know is the parent of the child. And if we don't know them, we ask for ID. And if someone else is picking them up, we have a whole procedure where the parent has to call and provide the name and some identification for the person that will be picking them up. So we don't let anybody out. Only after a certain age, I think it's over 10, will we allow a child to go to a parent if they're waiting outside, like in a car, but that's only if the parent provides permission for the child to do that. So it's generally very well controlled. We only have one way to get out of the building. We have someone sitting at the front door making sure nobody's leaving. So we've never had a child get lost. We've had parents forget their children, but we've never had an issue with a child, whatever, being picked up or anything in those kind of
Do you sign in and sign out your children?
digitally.
Okay.
I have a question, please. Where were you located in Northbrook?
Do you know where Max and Benny's is?
Yes.
In that mall.
Okay,
We were in the corner for about 5 years.
got it. And are you guys, so are you a dance studio? Do you have theater classes, or do you put on plays? What do you do there?
It's both. So there's sort of 3 major dance categories. So there's little kid dance, where it's like a class, you come, you dance, you leave. We have a recital program, which is rather large. They practice all year round. They put on a big performance. Currently, we use the Genesee Theater in Waukegan. We had like 1,800 people come watch the dance recital. And then on, above that, we have what's called our dance company. So it's like a competitive dance teams where they'll go different company, or different competitions in
So
the
like
area.
hip hop and stuff like that?
Yeah, hip hop, ballet, jazz, lyrical, contemporary. We used to do tap. It's not as popular. We get requests here and there, and we'll add it back. But yeah, it's the typical.
And do you have, I don't think you have competition in the area, just in Buffalo Grove.
No, and we don't do ballroom, which all of the dance studios in the area are ballroom. Like there's a bunch in, I don't know if it's technically Vernon Hills, it might be Lincolnshire, but there's a few in Lincolnshire that are all ballroom. And the only studio that I'm aware of in Buffalo Grove that's a very intense hip hop program.
Right.
And we are more of a inclusive and nurturing environment. We don't cut students. We don't. We don't have like.
Got it. So it's not tryout, it's paid.
We do tryouts.
You pay and.
There's
and-
different levels of teams. Once you get into the competitive areas, but everyone will make a team.
It's not a cut. You know.
Right. You may not make the best team, like we have like elite and
Right.
premier, and so you might make the second or third level, but even though you wanted the top level, but everybody gets a team, at least at the competitive level. For recital, it's whatever you want to do. If you want to do hip hop, we have 6 hip hop recital classes or teams, and you pick the one that works best with your schedule, or a lot of people base it off the instructor.
Would you be open to like collaborating with the Park District and?
Yeah. We've done where we've actually gone to the Park District and taught classes there.
Oh, okay.
We've gone to schools. We're open. We actually have done a partnership with High Five, who's in the mall, and the woman who runs our dance program is really good friends with the woman who's running the Pure Bar location right next door to us. So we're working on talking through some ideas of how we can even collaborate with them, of sort of create a complementary schedule where parents can drop their kids off at our place. They could do a dance class while they're doing their workout or whatever they do, yoga or whatever it's called. I'm learning, and sort of time it so they can then come back and get them and have that all work out well.
Thank you.
And then we do also do theater. I'm sorry to ask. We have little kid theater where we have like a little stage. It's like 6 inches off the ground. The parents come at the end of the thing and watch the performance in the classroom. You could see it on the right-hand side. The bigger kids, they'll rehearse in there, but they perform. We've been using Christian Heritage Academy in Northfield. We were at Gordon Center in Lake Forest, but our schedule's getting bigger than they can accommodate, so we just switched. And we're open to other locations nearby if anybody's got recommendations. But we've got 2 different levels of theater performances that go to like perform on a real stage in front of a large audience. Sorry, someone was gonna ask a
Yeah,
question.
I have a question. What's your stacking projection for pickup? Like how many cars do you anticipate being outside?
We stagger our classes on purpose, so we only typically have 1 class or 2 classes being released at a time.
Okay. Did you
So-
look to see if there's space there for the?
Yeah, there's plenty of space, and there's actually like a carved out area where the cars can pull in and quickly pick up and leave. We have a no standing thing, but we'll work with them all on how the cars can pull up, to pick up their kids and go. We do the same in our Deerfield location.
Okay. Is there an exterior door?
Yeah, it's exterior only,
Okay.
so they don't go into the mall.
Does the door exist now?
No, the space hasn't been built, right? It's just a hole in the wall.
What is that improvement going to look like?
As far as the exterior?
From my understanding, like that's just a temporary wall
Yes.
underneath the movie theater, right?
Right,
So this space was built 2014, is that right? The space was built 2014.
He hasn't been sworn. I've been there. There's no floor, there's no ceiling, there's nothing. It's
So
just-
this
Right
is
now,
something
there's
that
like a
the,
temporary plywood.
it's something that we worked with the mall on when Pure Bar moved in as well, just trying to finish off the space. It has direct exterior access, there's an overhang, there's lighting there. But in the case of the unit next door, there was some brick that needed to be finished off. So that's the reason for the condition, is just to make sure that both the tenant and the landlord are aware that the temporary exterior materials, which I think it's painted plywood, but we're expecting a finished exterior when this is all said and
So
done.
that's going to come down and then it'll be a,
Yeah, of course. If you flip to the floor plan, you'll see, I think this is an older version. I think we had our actual floor plan included. That one, you'll see the dotted and dashed line is a glass like storefront, and the solid is a brick. We're proposing just flipping on Studio One, making the forward-facing section towards the top, the glass, and the little L brick. But other than that, I think we're pretty happy with what the mall's
so
proposing.
then there'll be a covered area, so.
And yeah, the whole thing's covered. There's a place for seating for families to wait outside. It just works really well for our use.
Where do those doors go on the left side? There's no mall entrance.
No, there's not.
Where do those doors go? Do you know?
On the left side, oh, that's like a back alley. That would be emergency exit only.
Okay. But it goes outside.
I haven't figured out where, but I do know it goes outside.
Could you go back to the exterior diagram? Can you use the cursor and show us what space you'll be occupying?
See the arrow above it?
Yeah, I see
It's that whole section here.
that whole section, okay. So
Sorry.
where the gray,
This here, like from the left of the column is Pure Bar, and then we're from the right of the column over.
okay. Thank you.
Sweet. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I note that notice was provided and we received no comments on it. I also note that we have the section 18.3 standards for special use submitted, which are part of the record today. I have a question. It's really for you, Andrew. Jim and I are old enough, and I think Jerry also, that this was originally conceived of the theater with entertainment and restaurants. Okay, I think this was actually going to be the P.F. Chang's, long ago. How is this consistent with what the mall is doing, which I know is changing from retail to other uses? But you're not going to be able to drop your child off and go watch a 2-hour movie type thing. So it's not going to that. It doesn't have direct mall access. So what is the thinking and consistency for what is otherwise a retail location or an entertainment location with the new section that's being added?
Well, the village works really closely with the mall on a regular basis. We have a biweekly call where we go over everything, but we've been working with them on sort of the evolution of the renovation plan. This particular space has really difficult access from the street, and that's why the marketing efforts toward a restaurant ultimately weren't successful. So I would say in terms of the vision for the future of the mall, the village has generally understood that it's going to require a mix of uses, more entertainment, some service uses, and things like this. So that said, it still is subject to a certificate of use conversion, which is not in the purview of the commission. It goes through the village board. That process has occurred. The village board has reviewed that, did not have any objection to it, and then the special use is still required. So both are on a parallel track now. So, but the board did review the use conversion request and did not object to it.
Okay. Anything else, anybody?
What about signage?
Well, similar to Pure Bar, the signage on the mall itself doesn't have any particular special regulations. It's sort of one-off variations as needed. The Hawthorne Row has a special sign criteria built into its unique PUD. So this unit would be subject to the one-to-one based on the size of the frontage of that wall. So they could have their own sign because they have an exterior-facing entrance.
Does it matter whether, would it be on the theater wall or more underneath on the?
So the Pure Bar, I don't have a mouse, but the Pure Bar one is directly,
Your bar would probably be over here, right?
yeah, and they put it on the furthest exterior, not the under part. They put it,
Oh, the top
The
part.
gray.
yeah. So I would imagine.
So
we
we'd
would work
probably
with them
do the
do
same to be
something.
consistent.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, as you heard earlier, this is a public hearing, and as such, we have to open this up for any sort of public comment with respect to this request. Would you like to say anything? Okay, hearing no desire to speak on that, we can close the public hearing aspect of this. As you also probably heard earlier, we have a standing motion to recommend approval, which here would be to make findings of fact and recommend approval of a special use for a children's recreation facility for the property located at 656 to 660 Hawthorne Center, Vernon Hills. Consistent with the plans and exhibits provided, the project narrative, the proposed floor plan from AKL Architectural Services dated August 8th, with the modification on glazing that you indicated, subject to the tenant build-out permit being subject to review by the Fire Protection District, Lake County Public Works, and the village. The business shall require background checks for employees, that is because
We
it's
do
dealing
that
with
already.
children. And the exterior of the mall near the unit entrance to be improved as needed with permanent finishes rather than plywood. Okay, anything else? Okay, now we need a second. Okay, any discussion? All right, we need a roll call.
Commissioner Cotton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fluno,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidner,
Yes.
Commissioner Leese,
Yes.
Commissioner Navitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
and Chairman Morris.
Yes. All right, which this would go to the village board.
We are projecting September 3rd. That would be both the conversion certificate and the special use. And as I've mentioned with the other petition earlier this evening, we can attempt to do this all in one meeting, and I'll be in touch, let you know if we're able to get on the agenda to do the discussion and the vote at the same time.
Sounds good.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have approval of the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 meeting. There were a couple of textual revisions which were changing words, but otherwise, I believe they're substantively the same. So unless there's anything else we want to talk about, we have a standing motion to approve. We need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we can do that by acclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, those are approved. Then we have development review.
Well, in the last month, we haven't had too many major developments. The Kitty Academy was approved last night by the village board. The yard house permit, which has been kind of slow in getting off the ground, has actually been issued. And unfortunately, we had the closure of Jameson's Char House between last meeting and this meeting. There have been, as we discussed at prior development reviews, there have been proposals for a fast food restaurant there that are still in technical review right now. So, but Jameson's is officially closed at this location. And the photographs are just there because they were more visually interesting than a big white slide.
All right. Anything else? Okay, if not, we have a motion to adjourn. We need a second.
Second.
Anybody in favor of that one?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Then we're adjourned. Good night.